So what happens with this is if you're lazy and you don't pick up your dog poo and you leave it out on the lawn, it gets so dry that it actually becomes poo dust. I'm out in California, so we had a big drought and they weren't allowed to water your lawn. But if you did water your lawn with poo dust on there, it's going to reconstitute and become dog poo slurry, which is no better. Hey there, my name is Jason. I'm the founder of FreeCPAPadvice.com, and I do all the videos here at the link left 27. Let's just go ahead and get started. So I did this video of the SoClean 2 CPAP mask cleaner, also pipes it through the humidifier basin, and I wanted to do a follow-up video because normally when I'm looking at comments, I'll just typically look at my main comment section and it shows every single video and just all the comments associated. I don't typically go back into it, but I did notice that there were several from the SoClean that were actually popped up right away. So I wanted to go through and just kind of review those because a lot of them were quite negative about my review. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read through a lot of these and I'm going to try to get them as much in order as possible. First one, I believe, was I have a SoClean 2 and love it. You only have to wash your mask before using the SoClean for the first time to get manufacturing residue off of it. I've been using it for a few months now, and whatever it does, it makes it feel as if it's getting washed. No oil residue, and it just feels, smells, and looks cleaner than ever. I feel as if I have a brand new mask every night before I go to bed. Your review was not a review. It was a slam on a product that you don't have, haven't used, and have never even seen in person. I would recommend it, and I feel it is worth the money. The Ozone sterilizes a mask. Love the SoClean 2. Michael Kinney says, I own one and also love it. Everything you said is what I have experienced with mine, so he loves it too. I was just disappointed he, meaning me, would write a review like this. Paceboy responds to that. I was also disappointed in the video review as well. He typically does good reviews. He probably shouldn't have done a review on a product that he doesn't have. Thanks for replying. Matthew Butler here writes, you still have to wash your gear. However, I was suffering from frequent sinus infections, even with daily cleaning. Very thorough. I purchased the SoClean 2 on a whim, and now I get I clean my gear weekly, and sinus issues have totally been resolved. Personally, I hate the smell of ozone, yet it's a great trade-off. Hey, Lanky, get one and re-review. Your comments are highly valued. This is a good one also. So Lefty, I appreciate your comments. They seem valid. I've just been diagnosed with OSA. I'm scouring the internet for information on equipment. Don't have it yet, an accessory. Since my time is very limited, I was intrigued by the idea of a machine to clean the machine. I understand and agree with your points regarding cleaning the facial oils off the mask, and a CPAP wipe or your Mask Bright cleaning solution sounds like a good idea. However, from the SoClean folks, it seems that the principal benefit of their product is that it sanitizes the humidifier reservoir, which is where the bacteria buildup is a major concern. It also dryly sanitizes the interior of the hose to eliminate the mustiness with no need to be concerned about drying it. So it would have been helpful to comment on cleaning the reservoir instead of limiting your critique to the mask. I understand that ozone can degrade some mask, and this is definitely a negative, but to be fair, the SoClean, the quote-unquote cleaning before the cleaning, refers to goobers and junk on the mask that this process is not intended to handle, which is why I think a spritz of Mask Bright before tossing it into the SoClean machine would work. Yes, it is expensive, but for very time-constrained professionals, the SoClean just might be the thing. Oh, and about the ozone smell, I know some people don't like it. It goes away fast. Okay, then he writes, I get that you're pissed because they didn't send you a sample for review, but maybe they felt that since you sell Mask Bright, you are only going to bash their product. By the way, I love your website, and as a newbie, I've learned more there than anywhere else. Keep up the informative and humorous videos coming. I respect your observations, but I'm looking for a quick and easy way to deal with cleaning this stuff. I can deal with the cost if it actually works. I think that the fact that it's a completely dry process is a plus. Sure, I'll clean this stuff with Mask Bright and soapy water on the weekends, but I like the idea of dry and unattended cleaning. I figure that since I've just been sentenced to a life sentence on the CPAP machine, it would be a good investment. Wow, how did this comment get so long? Because it's thorough, that's why. Okay, and here is the last of the basically negative reviews that are readable. Tony Carey, the value of the SoClean 2 is dependent on its capacity to kill bacteria, and guess those of us using it have to take that on faith. I quite like the smell of Ozone 2, but I wouldn't have one if I thought the ozone did nothing. I use wipes to clean around the mask and put it in the SoClean 2. I clean the mask and tubing once a week on the weekends when I have a little more time. in soapy water. So the cleaning process during the week, when I have less time, is so much faster. It seems to me that a chamber of warm water is a perfect bug breeding container, and you're pumping that into your lungs when your body's metabolism is at a low point when you're sleeping. So if the claims of SoClean 2 are correct, the water and the inside of the tube is sanitized every day. I've had no degradation of the silicone at all, so I suspect that it is not related to wiping the mask first. Like other commentators here, I'm disappointed that the people at SoClean 2 did not even give Jason the courtesy of a reply. On the other hand, I'm not sure that having the machine would have made the review any better. Clearly, Jason made up his mind, and I can't see how having the machine would have made any difference short of doing scientific testing on the efficacy of ozone, which, with respect, is probably beyond his expertise. My solution to the drying problem, only to the problem in the middle of winter where I live, is to have 2 sets of masks and tubes, blah, 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 blah. Had I seen Jason's review of the Hurricane, I would have bought that instead. Bottom line, this is not a review, but a strongly held opinion from someone, despite having such a lame sense of humor, who is worthy of respect. If you think ozone is baloney, don't buy one. We have a couple people that kind of back up what I said, which I mean, honestly, it's kind of, just back up what I said, which I appreciate, but you know, it's just opinion. I like to go against people who totally disagree with me. It just makes it more interesting. So first, to go back to this point here, where Hadman says that I'm probably, I get that you're pissed they didn't send you a sample, but since they felt that you sell Massbright, you're only going to bash their product. I would just want to go after or address that first. They wouldn't have known that I own Massbright, nor was that something that I was bashing them for. I didn't bash them because I have that. I don't think that I'm in competition with the SoClean 2. I think that my product, Massbright, is in competition with soapy water, soap and water. I don't know, a good spot to tackle this from. There's a lot of stuff there. So I probably should have done it point by point. Here's my thoughts on the SoClean 2. It's extremely expensive. It's $280. Some of the good points is, keep in mind, yeah, I've never tested this thing. I think I've done some reviews on the air ring. And so even though the air ring, I mean, it hasn't even been invented yet. But what you can do is you can look at the science behind it, and you can say, if you're familiar with my air ring videos, I attack that they don't have the battery capacity to last 8 hours and put out that kind of energy. And I also attack that the micro pumps can't exist on that small a scale and move that much air. So I go across, I attack the science of it, because really it's irrelevant if the science isn't even possible. And so I do that with the SoClean 2. That's why I'm perfectly comfortable with critiquing a product that I've never reviewed. In doing research on the SoClean, I have no doubt in my mind, and to get back to Tony Carey's point here, that it's probably beyond my expertise. Yeah, I don't have a degree in microbiology. I have a minor in microbiology, and I have some friends that do work in the microbiology field. And I did talk to them about this product prior to doing it. They didn't think that the ozone wouldn't kill bacteria either. My point in what it does to kill the bacteria, because that's an easy test to replicate. You just run it through the SoClean, and you swab it before and after, whatever. Ozone is going to kill bacteria. My point is that the bacteria that are going to be in your mask, and I'll focus on the other stuff later, the bacteria that's going to be in your mask isn't bacteria that needs to be killed. It's natural flora on your face, and right now it could be running up my nose and in my mouth. It's harmless bacteria. It's not a deadly strain of anything, nor is it going to become a deadly strain of anything. So in that regard, the SoClean is completely pointless to clean that. Now, as far as the tubing and the humidifier basin, that's different, because you're going to be having moist air going through the tube. You're going to have moist air and moist water that's in the dark, in your tubing and in your humidifier basin. Pumping a SoClean 2 through that with ozone, it's not going to dry it out. So with the humidifier, the theory being, if stuff gets in there, it's not going to be bacteria, because air is blowing through the back of your machine and into the basin and then up to you, where any bacteria that's going to be involved is going to be there. So what you're really concerned with in the wet, moist, dark environment, once you turn the machine off, is mildew or molds growing. So in the morning, if you just simply open up your machine, dump it out, I'm sorry, not open up your machine. If you open up your humidifier basin, your chamber, let all the water out and let it dry. You can either towel dry it or just let it air dry. Stuff's not going to grow during the day, especially if it's in the light. It just doesn't like that environment. It likes it warm, dark, moist. If it doesn't have that, the molds and mildews aren't going to grow. So that's it. I mean, you don't even need it for so the SoClean, that one aspect of it also isn't needed. And then again, hot soapy water works perfectly fine with it. That's why I say that using hot soapy water and something like a Mask Bright is the way to go. And here's where I say that. You clean it with one of the previously mentioned methods. My preference is hot soapy water, though that takes a little more time, or you can do a little spritz with Mask Bright, rinse it off, throw it in the CPAP Hurricane Drier, and the Hurricane Drier only costs Okay, fascinating. So if we're looking at just simply cost, I would definitely just go hot soapy water, and then I'd put it in like a Hurricane Drier, because that is hot, warm, dry air. It's going to be drying your humidifier basin as well as your tubing. If you leave that stuff out, you're going to be growing basically mildew in there. You may have some bacteria strains in there that are harmful, but really just drying it out really well is going to prevent that. So you don't need to be pumping ozone through there. It's completely pointless, and again, extremely expensive. So when we get back to this other Hadman 2, he's saying that he's a professional, you don't have much time. That's why that's my competition as far as Mask Bright is concerned, and me owning this company. If time is a problem, that is basically a degreaser. It's going to be getting rid of the facial oils, and it actually does have some antibacterial properties, though it wasn't intended as just part of the product, part of the orange oil that's in there. It's going to be killing that stuff anyway. But it's fast. It's spray, 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 rinse, and then you'd be putting it in the Hurricane Drier. Now, if you have a little more time on your hand, you're just going to be doing hot soapy water, filling up the sink. It's going to be taking a little bit longer, a little more messy, and then you're going to be putting it in the Hurricane Drier or laying it out to dry somewhere. Air dry. That way nothing's going to regrow in it. It's not going to get moldy or mildewy, and that's the advantage to that. And so to summarize, here's something from David Casso. Using SoClean is not washing a mask. It's not washing anything. It's using ozone to apparently sterilize the supplies. The manufacturers don't recommend anything but to wash your items. This is just common sense. If you don't wash your stuff daily, then you're just sterilizing your facial oils, boogers, and gross materials that come with breathing with your mask on all night. Would you expose ozone to your clothes and dishes? No, you wash those items. That's pretty much my point, is you need to get off. The problem with masks, just looking at masks alone, is they get oily, and you need that oil off so that your mask fits better and so it doesn't degrade the silicone. That's the problem with that. SoClean's not going to do that. Hot soapy water will, or if you want to do something more efficient, Mask Bright will. So as far as tubing is concerned, ozone isn't necessarily going to get any mildew out of there. Again, you need to physically wash that somehow. Hot soapy water through the tubes is going to wash that, and then you need to dry it in a Hurricane Drier, or find a way to dry it some other way. Rig up a hair dryer or blow dryer up to it. Something that blows it out and dries it. The same can be said with the humidifier basin. Every night you need to have fresh water in there, and you need to let it dry adequately. That way no bacteria, no mildew, no mold is going to grow in there. So I stand by my position that the SoClean 2 is really an expensive product that fixes a problem that doesn't exist. All right, hopefully this looks pretty ominous, because what I'm going to say is quite important. I think I missed one thing on the SoClean. So if you, like me, are a little bit on the lazy side when it comes to mowing the lawn, especially in the summer, grass doesn't grow all that much, and it's hot. But if you also have a dog, you know the phenomena of dog poo and dog poo dust. Now stay with me, because these are going to relate very nicely. So what happens with this is, if you're lazy and you don't pick up your dog poo and you leave it out on the lawn, it gets so dry that it actually becomes poo dust. And so that's exactly what the SoClean does with the grease on your mask. You put it in there and it stays in there. The cycle only runs for 10 minutes, but then after this point, it stays trapped in there for up to 2 hours. So in this time, the grease conceivably, and forget what it does to the silicone, but conceivably it can turn the grease into grease dust. So what happens with grease dust? You either have to take it out of the SoClean or you put it back on your face and it reconstitutes itself into grease. This is pretty much exactly like what happens with the dog poo dust, in that if you were to accidentally turn on your sprinklers during this time, I'm out in California, so we had a big drought, and they weren't allowed to water your lawn. But if you did water your lawn with poo dust on there, it's going to reconstitute and become dog poo slurry, which is no better. Hot soapy water is super cheap. The Hurricane Drier, sure, it's expensive. It's like 120 bucks, but I've found that to be the best way to dry your equipment. And then hot soapy water works perfectly fine. That is my competition with mass spray. But if you want something a little faster in the morning, it's just a quick spray, rinse out, and then do whatever you're going to do as far as drying it. All these products, the SoClean 2, I'll put Mass Bright, I'll put the Hurricane Drier, all in the description box below. They're going to be links. If you buy any of these items, it'll help me out as far as keeping my website running. But, make up your own mind. That's just my opinion on it. Obviously, there's other opinions out there. There's people that have it. I think there are like, I don't know, 5 or 6 on here that like it. All of them, I think, are legitimate people. I don't think they're like trolls or anything. So there's people that really like it. I'm just offering my opinion on it. And yes, I suppose it is a strongly held opinion. Take it for what it is. Thanks for watching. Bye.